Hi friends, today let's talk about SAFe. So SAFe is a scale agile framework for enterprise. For some of you, maybe you have already experienced about SAFe, and the point I want to share with you is SAFe. This is not a perfect framework. So my focus will be on the drawbacks rather than the benefits of the SAFe framework. If you have your comments, your feelings, don't hesitate to leave a comments below so we can discuss and share our opinions. Okay, let's start. So about the SAFe framework itself, I think it has been widely shared, communicated in the world. There are a lot of companies are using SAFe in their organizations. Simply for SAFe, it's focused on the scale agility. So what is the scaled agility comparing to other methodologies, Kanban, Scrum? Yeah, here I would say SAFe, you can consider it's a big Scrum of Scrum teams because the unit or the focus in SAFe is the agile release train. So usually for the people when they talk about SAFe, they were thinking about the train release. So as I said before, the unit is a train. So how big it is? For a train, usually the size is between 5 to 10 Scrum teams. And the people in one Scrum team roughly based on the Scrum methodology is 5 to 8. You can be bigger or smaller, then resulting 50 to 100 people in a release train. So it means the focus for SAFe is much bigger than the Scrum teams. And how those Scrum teams they're working together, actually they are they're mentored or they're monitored by three guys, very important people for each train. And you can consider there are the train's leaders. So you have a RTE. RTE, what does it mean? It's a release train engineer. So meaning you can consider it's the Scrum Master of the Scrum Master. I don't know how to express it. It's a super Scrum Masters, like in this. This guy managing several Scrum teams on these trains, and all of the Scrum Masters needs to talk with him. You can say indirectly report to him about the deliveries of the Scrum teams. You have another guy is called system architect. So system architect mainly in charge of the system, the architecture of your train's product, because for any art, any release train, you are going to deliver one or several products. And behind the product, when we're talking about the IT domains, there are the applications and systems. Thanks to this system architect, those deliverables will be reviewed and also qualified by the architecture runaway. And also the system architect may suggest some enablers, features to improve the architecture overall. By the way, quality is also the responsibility of the system architect. Okay, let's come to the next. The third person is the product manager of the train. So this guy is focused on the product of the train. It's more you can consider a guy with business background and focus on the business lines. Usually you have R&D teams and the business or the product management team separately. And thanks to the SAFe organizations, you put those guys together. So you have three persons in charge of the train. And these three guys are called amigos. So amigos drive the decisions, drive the directions for the train. On top of the train, you have a LTPM or you have other management managing several trains, but let's focus on the train. This is the experience I can give you. So what is the problem of the SAFe mode? Actually, I would say in SAFe, we're talking about the agility and we don't what I would say the framework itself is try to minimize the impact for the line. So if you are reporting to your manager, the manager doesn't have a role in SAFe. The managers will become the life coach, or you consider the purely HR managers when your organizations move to SAFe. It's not good. Why? Because Scrum Masters is not a line manager. Scrum Master is not a Scrum Master is kind of a servant leader, but it can be anyone that to do this kind of job. It doesn't require the personalities or the traits from a guy who has the abilities to drive the team's deliveries. So my personal feeling is a Scrum Master is totally not equivalent to the line managers. And in the transformation of SAFe, for many cases, either line managers will become the Scrum Master, or the line managers may find something else. But you don't have people that really drive the growing of your team, plus focus on the deliveries. So this is something something I feel is a drawback for the SAFe mode. You can imagine that the guy I mentioned before, the Amigos, they are the senior level of management, so they're talking directly to the people who are the Scrum Masters of or the product owners of those teams. You don't have a layer that serves for the line management. If you are in a new organization, for sure, you can find ways to select the best people for the Scrum Masters, for the product owners, and make sure those people have very good connections with the trained leaders. But for many organizations, when they have this kind of transformation, what they forgot is the impact and also the powers from line management, how they can help the release train. So this is a drawback, and this is something that we need to pay attention to the SAFe framework. Second drawback I will give you is in Scrum mode, we said the product owner drives the visions and define backlog, prioritize them, and do the things that the team believes that it's a future. While in the SAFe mode, you can imagine that actually the product owner of a Scrum team doesn't have a lot of flexibilities to drive the team's backlog. The reason why is because on the train level, you have the product managers for the train to drive the business, I would say the directions, and also drive the backlog at his level. And mainly what he is doing is he will break those big features, big elements into small pieces and give to the POs. So somehow those product owners, they are just receive these kind of pieces, dispatch, and try to prioritize them, but they don't have the picture. The Scrum team is no more a single component. They are just belonging to one piece in the release train. So you see, it's kind of different than the Scrum methodologies. SAFe is not Scrum. SAFe is a combination of Scrum and Kanban, but something that's different. So this is the second drawback, I would say. The third drawback, I would say, is you have the release train engineer in charge of all of the Scrum Masters. However, this guy is not the line management, the senior line management in charge of the organization. And usually this guy doesn't have direct reports. So what you can imagine is you have a resource on one side, and you have this release train engineer needs to talk with the people on the resource and try to have a lot of negotiation. Personally, I don't feel it's good because in this kind of a mode, you have some disconnections and you have overhead costs and try to do the negotiations. And in SAFe, we always talk about empower teams, but you know, to empower teams, you should have people really mature to master their team's deliveries. So this is something that I don't feel good. For some organizations, when they run the SAFe mode, you have 10 teams on one train, so you want to monitor what's going on, what is good, what is not good for every team. How it works? You don't have management, so you can't just follow the delivery, follow the people's work. Then you need KPIs. And for KPI point of views, mainly you use different tools to move the ticket into different status. In the end, you monitor those deliverables by a dashboard. But my feeling is that if you ask all of the teams to do these kind of things, it's really a big amount of work. It's administrative work. And people tend to finish those tickets instead of focusing on the objectives, focusing on the real values stuff. They're playing with those scores, those business values. For me, it's not good. The last point I would say is the business values. Business values is something that are highly important in the safe mode and is always associated with the objectives that defined by the teams. So in safe mode, usually in a given period of time, for example, every 3 months, you need to define your objectives for every Scrum teams. In this case, those business values will be given by the top management. They will consider how valuable of your objectives. But actually, those values is just a number, and my feeling is that for the top management, actually, they don't understand exactly what you are delivering. They give a value based on their impression, but it's not a good way for the teams to execute. Why? Because maybe something you receive a low business value, but it's really valuable for your team to execute them. But comparing to the KPIs I mentioned you before, teams may tend to select the items that with high business values and take them first. Yes, it's kind of the idea or the methodologies in SAFe, but I would say that you have someone that, how to say, not working with you daily, but define the business values for you. It's not, I don't feel it's good. The second thing about business value I don't feel comfortable is you don't have the comparison between teams on the business values. So what is the criteria that you define the business values for different teams? You may give one objectives for these teams for like 9 points, and then you give another team 6 points. What is the relation between 6 and 9? They are doing separate stuff. So for me, don't make team feel upset or don't feel team, okay, I'm delivering fewer points than your case, I'm not as good as you. No, I don't think this is good. So really, I would say SAFe is a good framework, but it's not perfect, especially when you have older organizations want to transform into a new one with SAFe. Yeah, there are a lot of drawbacks, so a lot of things that you need to consider. By the way, SAFe is not cheap. If you want the organizations to be in a safe mode, you need to pay a lot of money for training, and usually for their trainings is just so valuable for 1 year. 1 year, several thousand, and you need to have these kind of trainings for everyone. I'm not so sure. These are my feelings. Personally, I would embark Scrum, Kanban, but not SAFe. Hope you like my video. Thanks. See you next time. Bye bye.